Go.
Hi, I'm Lisanne Miller with W, Cushing and Company, and this is In the Library with Lisanne. No, it's not June 15th. Your calendars are not off. It is June 10th. We're running a little early this month because of Caraway Rug School. And if you're in the area of Asheboro, North Carolina, please stop by the Caraway Conference Center midweek on Wednesday, I think it's the 20th, 21st, somewhere in that time frame, and see our beautiful rug show. So let's get on with In the Library with Lisanne. This month we're going to do 3 books by the same author, Jessie Turbayne. First, I want to say that these books are reference books. They're not how-to books. They're history books. They're guides. They have a lot of different things in them. They're great reading, but if you really want to know the history, you want to look at the history, you want to see the rugs, then these are the books that you should use. And we're going to start with Hooked Rugs, History, and the Continuing Tradition. So, in this book, it is broken out by section, and the sections, historical dilemma, where did it start? Where did rug cooking start? It started wherever you think it did, as far as we're concerned. The varieties of rug hooking from simple, primitive to ornate. And then it goes by section, geometrics. And it goes through different geometrics. It shows you different geometrics. A lot of these patterns are still available through us, through W Cushing. This is a rug that is a lot of fun to hook. It really is a lot of fun. Here are some more geometrics. And she gives a little write-up on each. And the write-ups are more about who did it, colors, the rug pattern if it's known, and if you want to hook geometrics, this would be an interesting section for you. Really has some interesting pieces. And here we go into the abstracts. And the abstracts, these we call scribble rugs. This is great. This is great for a beginner. You can just draw little hearts, take your basket of worms and hook it all the way around. You end up with a great piece. These rugs are great for bathrooms, hallways, entranceways. They don't show dirt. A lot of fun to do. A lot of fun to do. And here's some more cat's paws, but more abstracts. This is Whirlpool. This is a great rug. We still print this pattern. This is one of our patterns. And the Whirlpool, one of my students hooked it in blues for her grandson, because you want a rug that grows with them. So this is another awesome rug. There's all sorts of florals. And my gosh, there's every floral known to man in here, from primitive to fine shading. They're great to look at. Look how the outlines are, the scrolls. Here's a great example of leaves. These are books that you will learn. You'll learn the names of the patterns. Faces and places. A lot of fun stuff in there from different people. These are the cheetah camps. And the cheetah camps, I love the little houses. As many of you know, I have my own collection of them. So these are really, in the Canadian Maritimes, they hooked a lot of these mats, and I love them. The simplicity of it is just beautiful. It tells you a little bit about them, the size. Wonderful. And all different houses, different sections. The Never Never rug, and here we are in animals, from primitive to fine shading, bunny rabbits, inspiration for the piece, then the hooked piece, a lot of fun to hook, great rug, sailing ships, Magdalena style rugs, Orientals. A lot of the Orientals are our patterns, but it gives you different palettes that you can use. It's really interesting because as much as colors change, they stay the same. Turkish. A lot more florals. And then she goes into a little bit of the history. Here is the frost. Here's the stencil for the frost, Edward Sands Frost, and these are rugs that we still print today. Happen to own that burlap pattern. And these are all the frost rugs. Here's some antique tools. This is with Ross and Company out of the Midwest, the Garrett Blue Nose. So this is a good plethora of information. And here's my guy, Ralph Burnham. I love Ralph. We love his patterns. We love to hook his patterns. And we have quite a few of them. He was an entrepreneur. He really kept the antique rugs alive. Just my hero in rug hooking. And we have his, and if you look at Ruth Hall's, they are also Burnham's, many of them. One time we'll go into a history of Burnham with the Ruth Halls. And here you'll see a lot of familiar patterns. And these are in the Beauport Museum, were in the Beauport Museum. But what I like about looking at these is looking at the colors, looking at where they are. Even though this is eaten up and faded and pieced, still a great primitive to hook. Wonderful scrolls for my scroll ladies. And then the Grenfell rugs. This is a great history of the Grenfell, an in-depth history, very knowledgeable history. And the Grenfells. And it keeps going, which is great. Going. So, and more Grenfells. As you can see, the different labels. This is an interesting history. It's also an interesting guide. If you see the Grenfells or if you're going to buy one online or at an antique show, these are good. This is a good reference book for that. So you know what you're getting, what time frame it's from. And this is just modern day Grenfell rug hooking, the Grenfell Museum. And here's Pearl McGowan. And we do have the OSV, Old Sturbridge Village, and this focuses on Pearl McGowan's florals. They're beautiful florals, they're excellent, executed wonderfully. But don't forget, she did have geometrics and abstracts, but this is mainly focused on her florals and her scrolls. And beautiful, beautiful work, as you can see. Here's Rose Cottage, which was Pearl's home, and pictures of that. Now, this is a very interesting picture here. This is the crewel that we just featured recently in our newsletter called Alliance, and here is somebody working on it, which I think is kind of fun. And this is the White Flower Sampler. The White Flower Sampler we still print today, but this is a great image of it if you are ever interested in hooking it. Here's my first cutter. Those that know me know I have a collection of these, and that was my first cutter, Pepto-Bismol Pink. Here is the Unicorn in Captivity. Great piece, great tapestry piece. I just got done showing the Tulip and the Lilacs, and it will be featured again in the Third Thursday video coming up on the 15th of June, and here it is in the book. So, rugs that are familiar to you, rugs that are not. Time to take a look at it during the hot summer days. Here's Alice in Wonderland. Just wonderful, wonderful. Now, here is Joan Moshimer, and of course that is the company we are today. Here's Joan with the Cumberland Crewel. Here's her Aurora Rose and the history of the company. We still print all these patterns today. The pheasant, the strawberry basket, jolly old Saint Nick, the sandpiper, the cats, the teddy bear. Here is Joanne's quilt, the quilt that inspired the rug pattern. Here's Sanhedrin. Here's Idol. And then to make a rug of your own, just a brief overview Nothing in depth, but a brief overview of hooking. Now, in the preservation for the future, here's the older rugs. Here's the old welcome. We do print this pattern. It was a frost, and how to preserve them. So this is a great book. It's a good reference book, a good book to look through. Again, hooked rugs, history, and the continuing the tradition. The next rug is the Hooked Rug Treasury with value guide. The value guide was for its time period, not for current day, but it does give you an idea. Love some of the rugs in here. Love this rug. Love the reds, of course. My friend Kathleen and I just love our reds. Here's with a paisley, hooking with the paisley. What's desired in hooked rugs. Rugs on linen. Shaker-made hook rugs. So these are all different rugs. Here's braiding around rugs, one of ours. How it enhances and changes a rug. You almost miss the hooked rug center with the braiding around it, but what a beautiful piece. Beautiful piece. Animals, the sayings, the folk art sayings, very popular at today's auction block. Magdalena style, we've all seen this. The animals to fine shading, to primitive, to anywhere in between. Gives you an idea. Gives you an idea of the different rugs. It gives you how to hook the different rugs, what they look like. Wonderful, wonderful. This is punched with our Oxford punch. A punched piece. Of course, our fish. These are the makers. Now, this was very prevalent in the Boswell book. They call it the makers. And they call it the makers because they were rug hooked for a long time. They did different rugs, different styles, but all by the same maker, not hooker. We would call it by the same rug hooker, but these are the makers. This is a very, very good read. This takes place in Kauai. In Hawaii in the 20s, and Kauai is one of the last unspoiled islands. And there's the rugs there. I love these house rugs, whimsical settings and such. They're a lot of fun. They almost have a sampler look to them. And here's Molly Toby. Molly Toby, she hooked from the 20s until she was into her 80s. And as you can see, her rugs, there's some of her rugs. Interesting again, interesting to read. Here are by the same maker. Here you go. There you go. You can see she had a particular palette. Different genre, but particular palette. And these are all by the same maker or rug hooker. This is an interesting one here. She took all her nibs and nabs, and it almost looks like a paisley, and it's a runner going up the steps. Here's a beautiful ship rug. And each of these pictures, you pick out so many different things. And that's what makes it fun. You don't just go through this once, you go through this quite a bit. And the pictures are very, very good throughout here. Took a cat's paw, made it into little roses. And this is George Edward Tremblay. I love the Tremblay rugs. Oh, and here is Mrs. Toby in her 80s. And there she is still driving her hooked rugs. So there you go. And this was in 1968, about town on her bike. Great read. The Tremblay rugs I particularly like. I like the simplicity of them. I like the arts and crafts style, this one in particular. The Tremblays do appear periodically. Great read, great article. And then this is California Hooking. This is Jane Olson and her beautiful rugs. Jewel Marie Smith. We're into the makers now. Victorian Days, The Thousand Islands. This is really interesting. Prudence Matthews loved to hook scenery, and she almost had a Grandma Moses look, but with a little more detail. And you've got to look at each of these pictures if you have the book and relook at them again to see all the different things that she put in. Here's some spiritual visions. Here's Hook. Have Hook Will Travel, different places. Tell Me About. This is a Tennessee rug hooker, Elaine Carthcat, and she did beautiful, beautiful florals. She had beautiful colors, beautiful scents, and Elaine did wonderful work. And as you can see, deeper colors, not prim, a little bit of brightness to them. And here's the Cheticamps, all the detail on the Cheticamps, what the Cheticamps are about. Okay. And here's about collecting, the passion of collecting hooked rugs. A little bit about each of them. And these are the collectors now. Now we've gone into those who collect antique rugs. And so we're past the makers and on to the collectors. And it's broken out by who collects them. Some familiar names, the Littles, the Johnsons, but these are beautiful rugs in people's collections. Barbara Johnson had a plethora of rugs, and she liked a lot of the abstract rugs. Here is tumbling blocks, tea boxes, baby blocks, log cabin, the Hutchinson rugs. Anna McCoy had quite a collection. These rugs are absolutely stunning. So Jamie Wyeth even had some rugs, and these are quiet collectors from private collections. And Robin Moore Walker had an exorbitant amount of Grenfells in the collection, and each one you can look at and go through. Again, these are collectors now. And how they collect. This is Rosie Lint. She was originally from York, Maine, hooking at the York Historical Society. And these are part of what was on display there. This is Hooked on the Sea. All sorts of different nauticals. Mermaid rug done by Jean Jones, who was Jenna Sleeper's mom, as an FYI. And just beautiful pieces by the sea. People and Places with Rosalind Logsdon. You won't get bored looking through these books. And then Rugs at Auction. And you can read through that. And different auctioned rugs. Love this rug. Love the colors. Would love a close-up of it. Love to see it. And here's the Collins Auction Gallery. And just different rugs that have come up in different settings at shows and auctions. And then a small price guide in the back. So this has a lot of information. It's a big book. It's the Hooked Rug Treasury. Another excellent book. The last book is The Hooker's Art, Evolving Design in Hooked Rugs. So this is a little bit more modern. There are other books that followed. It still gives you about welcome mats, the half rounds, the different sizes of them, the runners. The runner section you'll find very interesting. Stair risers, runners to go up the stairs, risers and runners as one. You don't sell your house after you hook this, or if you do, you add quite a bit to it. But look at all these runners, these hall runners, as they go up the New England Saltbox steps. Look at these runners, they're beautiful. Grand proportions, the big rugs. Here's my buddy Ralph Burnham again. And these are grand rugs. I have a black and white of a woman hooking on this rug. And look at these rugs. Look at them. They're just beautiful. I love the detail in this. It looks real. And you can spend hours. And then here is an interesting rug. Here's Lucetta's Tree of Life. For those of us that are hooking it, here is another color wave of Lucetta's Tree of Life. But these are large, large rugs, room size and beyond, and to furnish a home. And you can see all of these in here. Look at the detail, the differences on leaves and acorns. And here we go. Here is the punching. This is where you stand, use threads, and you punch a room size rug. Again, grand people and places, including, this is interesting. There was President Roosevelt. This is Samyadanji. So we have all the Samyadanji patterns. Here she is with Ronald Reagan giving him a seal of the United States hooked. And for those of you that want to see color pictures of some of the rugs that we print, here is a large amount of Samyadanji's rugs hooked. This is Mary Philbrick, and she is working on the 45-round presidential seal that she gave to George Bush Sr. Mary is no longer with us, but those of you that know Gloria, who is one of our dyers, this is Gloria's sister. So the tradition with that family in Cushing is deep. And here is hooked art with Mary Shepard. We get into dimensional pieces, a shawl. Always love that, but I wouldn't want to wear it. I'd get it dirty. Just some different things in here by Mary Shepard, and some of the details. As you know, Mary Shepard did the Ark. So some more interesting rugs, some wonderful rugs. You just want to reach out and smell those flowers. The bamboo is absolutely beautiful. I was privileged to see this in person. It just looked alive. It was wonderful. Now this is an interesting thing. We did this a long time ago. You take a picture, you pixelate it, and then you hook it in the blocks. That's a fun thing to do if you've never done it. You take it, you don't have to do a big piece, but it's a lot of fun. And that was done by Peg Irish. Here's Rosalind Logsdon with her rugs, and people and places, and faces. Here's Susan Smith. So these are all just a little bit more modern, a little bit more advanced, but then these are celebration rugs for bicentennial, tricentennial, birthdays. Love the centennial rug. Love it. Halloween, Merry Christmas, Santa's, all the different holidays. And different regions. The Last Supper. So you can look through these, passing the tradition on. All creatures great and small. We know that's going to have fins, feathers, fur, you name it. Again, animals of all kinds. From Waldoboro to Primitive Magdalena to Finely Shaded to Grenfell. Great to see all of these. Farm and Forest, Noah's Ark, Adam and Eve. This is an interesting cornucopia with the fruit. The fruit's finely shaded. Nature's Bounty. So again, fruit, a lot of different ways to do the fruit, and then some selected reading. So this is a great book, a little more modern, brings you up a little bit more, a little more detailed. So I hope you enjoyed this. These 3 books are excellent reference books. They're great to have in your library. They're great if you have them in your library to take them out and look at them again, especially during these hot summer days. So until July, when we're going to do Christmas in July, bye for now.